So attacking this website is actually harder than it looks. So putting a single quote in the search box, as we did previously, tells us that it's almost certainly SQL injectable because the single quote ends up here, here, and two more times, so 4 times in total. It means that we've got to change this SQL statement up to this point, and we've got to close out that statement. So all of these brackets have to be closed. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brackets that have to be closed. Then we have to do something useful inside that. So we have to close the brackets. We have to then add a union so that it can return some different data from it. So tools like SQL Map can't solve this problem. They can't attack it with generic queries. It's more complicated than that. So we can dig a little bit further by hand. So we could try something like let's put an x in there, just a random x. So we could put %x, 2 brackets, and we'll put the double bar for PLSQL comment. It didn't actually fail, so that's quite interesting, but obviously it doesn't give us any data back either. So what if we just put x single quote? That gives us a different Oracle error message, 911. What happens if we put something like x%, and let's close out 1, 2, 3, 4, A, and the last one, we seem to have matched the objects, but we don't get any data back. So let's try extending that a little bit further and put in something like x% single quote for A union select sysdate and we can put in the 2 vertical bars. Again, we get a 911 error. This SQL now looks more complicated, and if you start to understand it and analyze what it's doing, it becomes obvious that actually where you enter the data, it's converting a space into a comma in the original SQL. So if we modify the statement that we've just done, and we put in something like, I've got this pre-prepared in a file here to make it slightly simpler. If we modify it and put in this statement, which includes the C language comments here, this turns spaces into a non-space by putting a C language comment in there. But it gets over the issue that the PHP layer has got a protection in it that converts a space in the input to a comma to stop SQL injection. So we can get past that. So let's put that in instead. And now we get 1789. So that tells us the number of items in the query are incorrect. So we're selecting originally select a.star. We don't know how many columns there is in the table, and then we're selecting star from that. But this is the key part, the a.star. We don't know how many columns there is in the table in the database. And what we've put in is just select sysdate. So we've put in 1 column, and there's probably almost certainly more than 1 column coming back. So we could look at something like trying to guess the number of columns by putting nulls in. We can try and guess the number of columns by putting in sorry, I've clicked the wrong screen. Put in the number of we can put in nulls, we can try and guess if they're dates, etc, etc. There's lots of things we can do to try and establish the exact number of columns, and this just takes hours and hours. Originally, when I hacked this website, this is exactly what I did, and it took something like 8 hours to work out the actual query strings that you needed to put in to be able to hack the website. So it took a lot of effort and thousands of requests against the website. But when I originally hacked it, I didn't want to cheat and look at the code. I wanted to try and do it step by step. So what I did was just basically add a number of null columns till I didn't get a 1789 error. Then I started mixing and matching the null columns with date timestamps, because anything should work with null except a date. And then we can try and work out exactly what the order of the columns should be with the right data types. Then we can start to do SQL injection. As you can see, we've got a 933 error here, so incorrect ending. We could try and get something. Try this one, which is a missing keyword. 924 comes back instead. So these are just samples that I took when I was doing it by hand. I just kept them just as examples. We've got invalid ID. So we get a 904 and so on. We can try lots and lots of things until we can actually get the thing to work. Actually getting it to inject took a lot of effort, and when you do get it to inject, then you can start to mess around with the actual payload. Once you understand what you're trying to do, you can change the payload to do something real in the database, trying to find something, trying to work things out.